Hi, hello, and welcome everyone. It's really good to be here, and it's even better to have all of you here. So I rather should say good evening for those who is in the other time zone, good afternoon, and maybe even good morning. So today's session, on today's call, I'm gonna show you and talk a little bit about I could say that really important piece of software provided by, and this software is Customer Insight. And we're gonna today build a rich 360-degree view on customer. So before we start and before we deep dive, I would like to thank you, our sponsors and partners, of course. Companies like Bonner, European Collaboration Summit, 365 Saturday, and of course, Microsoft. And I would like to remember about the raffle, about the good, great prizes. So don't waste your time and join to fun with a Bonner. A few words about myself. My name is Kamil Kubiczek. I've been working for Microsoft since 2017. So it's more than 3 years now. Right now, I have been working as a partner technology architect covering whole CE region, and I'm dedicated for a partner. So I'm cooperating with many partners across CE. Personally, I love traveling, so it's really bad time for traveling now, as you all know. So I also hope that all of you and your families are safe and in good health. I also love Cosmos, so I can travel around the cosmos to find some black holes and other cool stuff around. And also I'm a great fan of psychology, so it's quite cool stuff to understand each other and our relationship, not just the CRM but also the personal relationship. So agenda for today. We have a couple topics to cover. First of all, I would like to tell you what the CDP is, because we are talking about one of the parts of the whole family of CDP platforms. We have, of course, a couple of competencies, but today we're going to talk just about the customer insights. I will tell you why it's a missing piece of software in a whole business process of delivering great and finding the great 360 view of your customer. I will show you on the slides and then into the demo our approach, so how we want to deliver it and how we can play with all this data. And I will tell a little bit about the architecture and about the possible scenarios before the demo. So I hope that it's fine with you. If you have, of course, any questions, you can use the chat window. You can ask me after the presentation or between the presentation and the demo, or you can reach me, of course, on LinkedIn, or there will be my mail in the end of the presentation, so no worries. Just write me an email. Okay, so first of all, CDP, as you can see on the screen, it's a customer data platform, and Customer Insight, it's a part of the CDP itself. But before we deep dive into the CDP, let's imagine the potential scenario situation for, I believe that great part of you, it's not you don't need to imagine it because you're struggling with it every day or every month. So let's imagine that you have a customer, or you are a customer with a great and really impressive data sources and IT infrastructure. I mean, you have a lot of data sources. These data sources could be, for example, CRM system, can be ERP system, it can be some kind of retail, maybe e-commerce. Of course, we have a time of social media, so probably you also have some kind of social media accounts, and all of these data aren't integrated with each other. There can be a lot of reasons why is that, or why they aren't integrated with each other. It can be money, for example. So the cost of the integration can be really huge. It can be really time consuming. So the integration between these data sources can take a lot of time. Maintenance of this potential integration can be also very costly. So as you can see, there is many cases that these data aren't integrated. Of course, there is another part of the story. So let's imagine that you or your company bought another company with own infrastructure. So you want to check easily and really quickly if you have the same customer, or if you have other customers, so you can deliver them a really fitted marketing campaign with the products from the other company. So as you can see, we have that's our challenge. We have a lot of data sources. And if we see the definition of customer data platform, first of all, it's based on the first party, so it's it needs to be your own data. So CDP is a package software that creates a persistent unified customer database that is accessible to other systems. So we can understand it as a part of software that you can easily import data from various data sources, like I mentioned before. So it can be CRM, it can be ERP system, it can be some kind of loyalty system, etc., etc. Then inside the CDP, you're doing a little bit magic. I mean, you create a golden record of your customer, and then you can easily use this data to your, for example, marketing or sales or customer service purpose. So we need to bring all the data to CDP platform and then export this data into other system like for example, marketing system. So it's pretty okay, and it's a really missing piece in a whole business scenario, because as you can imagine, business want to do a lot of things with this data. So probably they have their own KPIs. They want to create a great segments based on this data, on this golden record. We live in a time with AI, so probably they can have some kind of AI models to use it as a segment. So it's really, really tough, and it's really not so easy to have one piece of software to cover a lot of data sources. And if we check the Microsoft portfolio, we can see and we can find this missing piece in customer engagement. And today I'm gonna talk a little bit more about this piece of software. And if we see on these 3 points, I believe that they are connected to each other. So we want to at first create the great view on our customer. So we want to understand what are they buying, why they are choosing product, not that product. And we want to also have the one repository for a true information about this customer. So this one repository will be available for a sales guys and for a marketing guys. And right now they can talk with each other and have one same bucket of data to use. And if we have everything in the single repository, it's really easy to scale this solution and to put some, maybe magic is the best word for this purpose, because AI, it's a great tool, but if you understand it quite well and you know what do you want to achieve. So closing this gap between these data sources, customers, and business, as McKinsey say and show us on his reports, can increase your revenue. And I'm not talking about just about the customer insight, but I'm talking about the whole family of CDP. Can increase your revenue around 5 to 10%, and can of course decrease your cost between 15 and 25%. So I believe it's a quite nice piece of business to cover. And why is that? I have 3 points to cover and to show why is that. First of all, this solution is really, we can really start quick with creating a customer insights trial version. So it's really easy to start POC in our customer because you just need your own tenant of Office 365. You have a ready-to-use link to create the trial version, and that's it. You can use it as a production version of Customer Insight. You can bring all the data. You can create the segments. You can create the KPIs, etc. So it's really great to achieve what do you need. As I mentioned before, we have AI-powered insights. So we've already created a few models of AI. So you can just from gallery. There is a instruction. You can do it step by step by yourself. And we have, for example, customer lifetime value model. We have the product recommendation to our customer, next best action, and also churn model. So as I said, it's easy, almost plug and play. What the one thing that you need is just a piece of Azure subscription, and you can really use it. And of course, it's really important that it's really safe. It's based on Microsoft Azure, and it's really in configuration that I will show you a little bit later on a demo. Okay, so our approach. So how can we do it? First of all, we need our data, and I need to repeat it, but it's really important that it's our data. So we need to take data from our ERP system, from our point of sales, loyalty system, campaign management system, etc., etc. We can, of course, enrich it using external data, but it also needs to be your data. So if you have a POS with, for example, Bitcoins, and you want to track your customer, or you have a Wi-Fi that your customer will connect to this Wi-Fi, you can also use this data. And how can we use this data? First of all, we need to import this data into the customer insight, and you can easily do it using our connectors. And there is one start that it's not the same list of connectors that you are using, for example, for a Power BI or Power Apps. Right now we have, I think that around 50 connectors, and there is another start that we don't support yet on-premises data. So if you have an on-premise data, like in, for example, SAP system or other ERP, first of all, you need to push it into cloud solutions, like, for example, blob storage, and then you can easily connect it into the customer insight. Right now, we are heavily working on this gateway. The solution is almost ready, but it needs a little bit more polish to publish a preview version. So, okay, we have a data, we have our connectors, we are importing all this data into customer insights. And right now we need to do a couple of things. First of all, if we ingest our data, we have the process of the unification. And this unification process is split on 3 parts. First part is mapping. So you need to map all the data from these various data sources to one model, and this model is stored on the CDS and CDM, so it's really easy to use, and it's really easy to extend somehow. Of course, I will show you a little bit later. Then after the mapping, you need to match these records, and also you have the ready to use tools to do it. You need to create the rules, and after you map and match this record, you can easily merge it to one golden record of potential, for example, Kamil Kubiczek, who is a customer who, for example, buy online, buy on premises, and also use some kind of application of our company. And then you can, of course, enrich the data. Enriching is not allowed in European Union, sorry. It's just allowed in US. So in Poland or other European countries, we can't enrich data using, of course, the third-party vendors. If you have your own data, we can say that you can, of course, somehow enrich your data. Okay, if we have a unified profile of our customer, we can, based on that, create some analytics. So we can easily export this data, for example, to Power BI to create great dashboard for sales guys, for marketing guys, or to for people that want to use this data. Or, as I mentioned before, we can use AI capabilities and somehow convert or create great buckets of our profiled customers and, for example, export it to our marketing solutions. It not necessarily need to be the Dynamics 365 marketing. It can be any, I could say, software that just has API. And also I will show it a little bit later. So as a final, we have the data, we have the unification process, we have our insights, and in the end, we have our actions. So we can easily export this data. Of course, we have ready-to-use pre-built connectors to Power Automate, to Power Apps, to Power BI, to marketing and sales from the Dynamics. And we can also really easy use the bots, web, mobile, as a part of the action from this ready-to-use data from CDP. So basically, that's our approach. So data unification, insight, and of course, action in the end of the process. Architecture, I told you that I will tell you a little bit about the architecture. So we can see that architecture is created from the, I could say, 4 layers. First of all, of course, data. This data, as you saw on the slides before, we have the data, we have the data sources. We can really easy connect using connectors to customer insights. Then we have the processing layer with creating of course, the profile of our customer. We create also KPIs, measurements. We can use Azure machine learning models to process this data. And then we have the API layer that we can easily connect any piece of third-party solutions to our customer insights and easily use it to our purpose. If we don't want to use, of course, the consumption layer, so if we don't want to use solutions from the Microsoft stack. Azure machine learning, I hope that you see this slide. Or are you familiar with the Machine Learning Studio before? As I mentioned, we have the ready-to-use models. So if your customer or if you as a customer don't have any data scientists or people that can create this kind of models, you can easily take, for example, churn model, deploy it into the ready-to-use packet and use it in our customer insights. And I will show you how to do it a little bit later. And potential scenarios, how to use it, and why it's so important. And that there is one important thing, that you don't need to have any Dynamics 365 application to use it. So in first scenario, we have the customer engagement. So we have our marketing sales service, and also we have other data sources, and all of this data will be import to customer insights. We will enrich it using Azure machine learning models. This stored data will come back to customer insight, and we also really easy export this data back to the customer engagement as a customer card, which is also ready to use, or to marketing as a, for example, segment. So we can easily create the segments in customer insight and push it. And it's the first potential scenario. The important thing is that it is as a SaaS model, so it's a software as a service, and data, as you can see, is stored in our data lake in Microsoft subscription. So that's the first scenario. The second scenario is standalone application. So you don't need to have any of the Dynamics 365 customer engagement applications. You can easily use customer insight, for example, with SAP, with Salesforce, etc. So we are importing all the data from various data sources using connectors, of course, to customer insights. We can enrich it using Azure machine learning, so it's also not obligatory, no, not mandatory, but it's really recommended. And we are enriching this data to and this core data come back to customer insight. And using APIs, we can easily export this data to campaign management system, to sales management system, and etc. And there is one star. Data is stored, like in the example before, on data lake in a Microsoft subscription. And there is third potential scenario that our customer has already Azure subscription with own data lake. And it's really important for a customer that really want to have all his data in his own subscription. So we can easily use, the buy customer insights, and it's just an operation layer, which is, I could say that we put it on top of this Azure subscription. So data from this data lake aren't transferred to any other solution. We just use this data in this data lake, and we all do the things from the customer insight on top of this Azure subscription. And the same situation like before, we have also Azure machine learning with a model, so we can train and score this data. We can also use various data sources from other systems to import into the customer insights, and we can also use this data lake with data inside data lake, and after that export into the sales or campaign management systems. So in great short, I think that it's everything from the slide share. So let's jump into the demo, and I will show you what can we do, and how can we play with customer insights. And still, if you have any questions, feel free. Feel free and ask, and I hope that you can see my screen now with an application. Okay, so first of all, I've already prepared some data, and it's already imported into the system, because as you can imagine, it takes time to feed the system. Application is really simple, I could say, because we have a navigation with all objects on the left side. So as you can see, there is a dozen of possibilities to use. There isn't any hiding objects, so it's all we have. And we have, of course, the body on the right side and in the middle of the screen. Okay, so if you remember from my slide, we need our process to start from the data sources. And as you can see, I've already imported some data inside the customer insights. We have I could say that it's a bucket of data with entities. So I have my e-commerce data with two entities. One is for a customer, one is for online purchases. I also have a loyalty schema, because when I came into the POS, I mean the point of sales, it's not necessary to tell the sales guy that I'm a Kamil Kubiczek and I would like to buy something. And the funny thing is that loyalty, I mean, if you have a loyalty card, is a great place to store customer data coming from the POS. So I have a loyalty schema between the POS system and the e-commerce data, and I can show you how easy we can add another piece of data. As you can see, we have the three methods to bring it into our system. We can easily import data. We can use a common data model, which is based on data lake, or we can easily connect to to CDS. So we can easily use, for example, connection to our CRM. And this time I will import data from other sources. I want to name it, and it will be website reviews. And I have already prepared some data in my flat files. It will be CSV files based somewhere in the web. As you can see, we have these connectors that I mentioned before. So we have just the files that we can use. We have the databases that we can use. And if we want to access to one of them, for example, I don't know, maybe the Oracle database, you can see that we have already prepared connection to connect to data gateway, to on-premise data gateway, but it's still not allowed to use it. So I hope that it will be maybe not days, but rather weeks to that we can bring our data from on-premises systems. We have, of course, online services like a Salesforce, like a SharePoint, Exchange. So if we have any data in one of these systems, we can usually use these connectors. And this time I want to use just the text file. I paste here the path to my CSV file, and as you can see, we have the data which is based in somewhere in the cloud, and we have Power Query to first, I could say, transform and prepare data for our process. So we can easily create and change the name of our query. Let's say that it will be website. You can see that in the first row I have the names of my column, so I can use it as a column names, and I want to just change the date type to future purpose, so that will be whole number, and also I believe that date. Of course, right now I have just a 6 column, so it's really easy. If you, for example, connect to software like Dynamics or Salesforce, you have plenty of columns. So to really, I could say, fast and easy prepare this data, you can, for example, use Advanced Editor, which is also taken from the Power BI. So it's really easy and I could say really fast. Right now we can save this data and wait a couple of minutes. Of course, we are not going to wait because, as I mentioned before, it takes time. So we will do next steps of our process of creating a 360 degrees views of our customer. As you can see, it's refreshing, so it's importing all the necessary data into the system. Okay, first step was to bring our data to customer insights. I hope that you remember. Second step is to unify our data. As you can see, it's also really easy because I think that it's really easy application. It's not like, for example, CRM that you have a lot of fields, a lot of really complicated, I could say, or many and a lot of stuff to remember. It's really easy. So first of all, you need to choose the customer data that you want to map. So as you can see, we have all this data that we've already imported into the system. So we can easily choose what do we want with all the parameters that we want also to type to map as a type. And as I mentioned before, all the types are based on the CDS and CDM. We have already prepared some mapping, and if we don't want to use one of these ready-to-use parameters, we can easily change it. For example, maybe gender code. If we don't need a person gender, we can easily create the gender, and that's it. After the mapping process, we need to save this data, use, of course, the primary key of all particular data sets, and go to another step, which is matching. Matching is also really easy. First of all, we need to create the match order, and there is one important thing, because we need to choose the primary entity that will be matched. And as you can see, we should select the entity that has the most data on your customer. And the matching process looks like this. So we have the primary object, and we want to match to another entity, to another entity. So it creates, I could say, on air, another set of data and another set and another, and after a few interactions we have our unique customer. So that's the first step. Second step in the matching process is to create rules, and these rules are also really easy to create. We need to choose the entity. It's of course already chosen by myself, because as I mentioned, I've already prepared some kind of data, but we need to choose the entity with a field as a basic, and also second one, another entity with also field that we want to match. We need to, of course, name this rule and create or choose the precision level. So that will be the precision that the system will match our records. Right now it's on the high. We can of course change it to custom to see the value and use this this slider to change the value. And if we come back to basic and see our preview, so it's already matched the record, we can see two types. So we have we can see the matched record and also unmatched record. And this unmatched record, we can see, of course, where it should be, or that's the you can see that it's in the first system and it's not in the second system. And if we see the matched record, we can see also that, for example, James, which is James, and here is James. So with high precision, it's not the exact matching, but with a few letters in our words. So matching is also quite easy. We have the condition. I've also created the second condition. The second condition is based on the email address, because it's also unique value. So it's really easy and really important to have it in our process. And of course, we can see preview, so we can see matched and unmatched records. Okay, so after we have the matching done, we need to merge our accounts. And right now we just need to click run, so just click and play, and our system will merge all these records based on our mapping and matching. And what can you see here? It's a list of fields that it's already matched. So we have a single fields from particular entities like a commerce contact, our loyalty system, but we also have a combination of fields, also from the same already map and matched entity. So if we had a first name, for example, in our two systems or in two data sets, we can easily merge it to one record. Below we can see also a list of keys from our entities, but what is most important, we have also, sorry for that, list of removed fields from the customer records. And we can see that I've already done the third data source, which is Dynamics 365 customer service data source. And we can find here a plenty of records that is removed. If it's removed, that's not a problem, because we can see that there is also a first name, so we can easily put it up. And if we find, yes, we have this the 365 customer service first name, we can also easily add it to our first name in our whole customer view. So as you can see, we have our first name, we can click done. And right now we have 3 entities with first name based on our entity. So it's really cool. And after this last step, I mean the merge process, we can check our customers. You can see that we have already prepared our basic 360 degrees view of our unique customers. And here it is. So we have our Helen, we have plenty of data. Part of them are from the first data source. Part of them are from the second data source. We can easily see that we have, for example, e-commerce data. We have the alternate. So it's taken from the other system. We have a contact ID from our D365, etc., etc. And we have a cool new stuff like a timeline and other things. But it was the first step in creation our 360 degree views. So to wrap up a little bit, we have a data sources. We have the unified process, which is split on 3 steps: map, match, and merge. And after doing these 3 steps, we've already created the customer cards with custom data. As you can see, we have also a timeline, and we have the POS purchase. And to show all other data, for example, from the online purchases, we need to create and make a little bit more steps. First of all, we need to create a relationship. Relationship is, as the name, it's a relationship between the source entity and the target entity. We need to create it because, as you can imagine, we've just created the new customer profile using this unifying process, and it's a customer profile created inside the customer insight. So right now we need to create the new relationship to show or to point our customer insight that this data coming from the online purchases should be connected with a new customer insights profile. And if we done it, we can easily create the activities. So as you can see, we have our POS purchases. And if I add a new one, for example, online purchases, we can create another type of activities, which will be shown in our customer view. So online purchases, so the primary key will be purchase ID. We need the timestamp, we need the event, it can be subject. We need, for example, the icon to show it in really good shape. We need an activity type. We can, of course, use the existing, but we can also create the new one. So that will be online. Yes. sorry, online purchases, and we need to connect our activity data to customer created in customer insights. So as you can see, we have the customer insights. So probably we want to connect from the ID, contact ID, to our e-commerce contact using also contact ID, and we can name it as a online. Done. Okay, done. So as you can see, we have ready to use a new activity with type online purchases. Of course, we need to run our system. We need to calculate everything and create the new activity in system, check if everything is okay, and then we will see it on our customer view. In the meantime, I would like to show you also two important things. One of these is measurements, which is, I could say that that's the KPIs of our system. We can create the custom attributes based on custom record, or we can create the business measurement. For example, average store purchase, which is average store purchase based on the whole customers across a company. So it's also easy to create. We need to point the entity, and we have ready to use functions based on the fields. And as you saw, when we were importing data sources, we also choose the right type of this data. So right now we can easily use it in our measurements. And last thing is to create the segments, because it's great that we have data. It's also great that we have one golden record of our customer, but the real power is to create the segments based on this data, which will show us the customer which are almost the same or the same like we are. So potentially we can sell them the same product that other customer with from the same segment already bought. So to do it, we can easily create the new segment from the scratch. So we can choose a couple of parameters and create it as it is. But the coolest stuff is that we can create it just from the measurements that we've already created. So we can usually choose the total, for example, club points, which is in the system, choose the operator and just the value to create the segment. And it's really cool because it's really easy. Even business can do it really quickly. And if we have also our models included, so I will show you on other demo. So if we've already created the model or take this model from the Azure AI Gallery, we can also use it as a segment and create the segment not from the scratch, like you see before, but just from this ready-to-use model. So it's really powerful and it's really, really, really cool. Sorry, it's loading. I probably just because it's I've already clicked on play, so it needs to take some time. Okay, doesn't matter. So I hope that you will see the really rich customer 360-degree view based on other data. If not, okay, we will come back to see it a little bit later. On the end, I would like to show you a couple more things. First of all, if you are a Dynamics 360 user, you can create a controls or a tab with a controls, which are delivered, of course, by us. So you can easily create these controls and take the data from customer insights and show it to all the sales guys in your organization. And the really cool thing is that you can also use this data in Power Apps, for example. So if we find the customer insights connector, connect to this data. Sure that I know that it's a premium. And as you can see, we have all cool stuff that we've already done. For example, the segment, the people that are 18 years old or older, and we can easily connect to this data. Another great thing is export destinations. So as I mentioned before, we have a couple of ready-to-use connectors for marketing, for sales, or for Sales Hub. We can use, for example, Facebook ads. So if you create the segment that you want to make a campaign on Facebook, you can really easy do it, because just to set up it from the customer insight and use it. And you have, of course, the API system. And if we see, we have a Swagger with all the APIs ready to use. So if you are a developer, you can see all the necessary stuff for a customer insight itself. Last thing, as I mentioned before, we have ready-to-use models, so we can easily view the project and create this project in your own subscription. And also marketing, you saw there was a segment more than 18. So if we come here to the marketing and we will see the segments, we should see the list of the segments. And also here is external segment link, which is the link from the customer insights. So really easy. We need to create the segments right here and use it in other data sources. In the meantime, it's not working because of this refreshing data, so I'm sorry, but you will not see the customer profile in this system anymore. So from my side, I think that it's all. Any questions?